Is there any questions?
มีอาจารย์ท่านถามไหมคะ อาจารย์สามารถเปิดไมค์ได้เลยนะคะ
Hi, my name is Prof. I wonder about the project-based learning online.
Yes.
Could you give us some example on how the student can do the project as a team if everything is online?
Okay, yes, that is a very good question. In many, for example, we use a Blackboard here. In many learning management system, you can create a folder, a group for 3 students. Only these 3 students can interact, so that you have to provide a guideline to say they can work in their time at the time that is work for them. And it operates like a wiki, which means that they can post material. They can use Google Doc, for example, if 3 people are using Google Doc, so they can contribute to the same document. All 3 of them can have access to the same document. You design the project similar to a face-to-face class, except that the interaction that they can do is online. A project, for example, can be, now we are in the time of the coronavirus. I don't know what class you teach, but let's say I teach a communication class, and I ask students to interview people or interview each other. They can do that via Skype and then record it. You can do that also on Zoom, or you can give them an assignment, let's say a case to do on a specific topic where the 3 of them have to do the research online and then develop one document, a report. I'll take the best one example. I have a group activity for a class that I'm teaching. The class is Global and Transcultural Understanding. I give them an assignment to look at all the international organizations that are part of the UN system that have something, one way or another, to do with the management of the coronavirus. It can be organization that work on somebody will be focusing on all the organizations that are working on epidemiology. It can be an organization, another person may focus on all the organization that work on emergency assistance, emergency relief. Another person can look at all the organizations that focus on communication, etc. So each of them, they may have a task, and it's for them because it's a group, it's a project-based learning. That means that you provide them instructions. It's among them to identify who is working on what, when is it due, and when they can have virtual meeting, etc., etc. So it is possible. When there is outside of the context of the coronavirus, I taught class online where I have students to interview people, and they can go, even though they are taking the class online, but it doesn't mean that they cannot find somebody to interview about a particular topic. And then they post it on their website. And then each group makes a presentation about a summary of all the interviews that they conducted. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But it seems like it would be quite difficult to do some kind of physical model project kind of thing, right?
Yes. In this context of the coronavirus, because of social distancing, it's more difficult to do something that requires, physical presence. But they can work on a project where all the interactions will be virtual. They can use Line or WhatsApp, etc., to work together. And then Google Doc, 5 people can work on the same document. Google Slide, they can work together on putting a slide presentation together. So there is a variety of ways that you can have group, group project, even, in that environment.
Yeah. Thank you very much. That's very clear. Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. Other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Like, I kind of wonder, like, in your particular situation, how many students in your online class did you ever operate?
Yes, I have to tell you a story. I am part of first, second, or third generation of people who have learned online teaching when I was doing my PhD at the University of South Florida, because my advisor at that time, she was a pioneer in online technology. And at that time, teaching online was very unpopular because it was a university called University of Phoenix. Most mainstream universities didn't want online teaching at all. So therefore, I was kind of a loner when I was doing online teaching. So I like it a lot. Then I went to the University of Wisconsin. Even though I teach face-to-face, I teach online. I had 2 sections and 20 students in each section. I can tell you, after the first semester, I was a zealot for online learning. I said, I don't want to do it anymore because it is very time-consuming. I gave them turnaround time of 24 hours. So I have 40 students, and every day people, sometimes they have 2 or 3 questions. By the time I finish with half of the questions, it's already midnight. I couldn't do anything at all. So I have to share that with you so that when you are setting your turnaround time, if you say 24 hours, you have to respect that. Otherwise, students are not going to take you seriously. But you can say the turnaround time will be 48 hours or will be 76 hours. That means that students know that because you have a large group, in 3 days, they will have response. But also you can strategize to say that this is an urgent response. Somebody is trying to submit an assignment and they have technology difficulty. You can quickly reply to that, but then you can separate to say which one you can respond to first, which one you can respond to next, etc. Because that's an important question. I have, when I came to Ohio University, I have some people, they said, well, can you develop some online courses for us and then we will pay you, etc. And then when I asked them how much you're gonna pay them, and they gave me the amount and they said, well, we have 50 students in our class. And I cannot tell you what I tell them, but I tell them some words. That I don't do it. I teach online for my own pleasure because my classes are face-to-face, but I do blended. Nobody forced me to do it. Now, because of the coronavirus, the university is entirely online. I'm probably one of the faculty who didn't have to do anything because all of my classes are already online. I just sent an email to the students to say that we're not gonna have any FaceTime meeting, but we will have online sessions. And all of the students have access to Microsoft Teams. Microsoft Teams is it's free for the students, so it allows me to share my screen similar to Zoom. Except that provides you, in Zoom, you can create chat rooms where for 3 students, you have control over that. Microsoft Teams, you can create teams, but all of the team, they can see each other, they can move around, so it can be chaotic. But Zoom is very, very good for that. Did I answer your question? Hello?
Yes,
did I answer?
Hello, did you hear me?
No, I couldn't hear you. It looks like your mic is mute.
Oh yeah, hello.
Yeah,
yeah, I think it's come back. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, somehow. Because I also wonder, like, after listening for you about the strategy and stuff, it seemed like it's easy to implement it in small class, but then particularly speaking in Thailand, the class is going to be not that small. Like it starts from like, I think from 30 students or more. Depends on the situation we have right now. Like, did you have any suggestion on that?
Yes, you can, even if you have large class, there are some specific strategies that you can use. For example, you can do instant poll if you are doing live lecture. And there is poll everywhere. You can actually incorporate that in Google, in Google Slide.
Yeah.
And you can have like Google Doc, you can do survey. So these things, they will, even if you have a large group, it will still be interactive. For example, let me see if I have, let me just see if there is something that I may have I could share with you here to give you an example. Yes, okay. Yeah. No, it's not there. But I create in Google Google Slide. I create a PowerPoint, and I create a section for each group. And so each group in the same PowerPoint, they can contribute. So it's active. They are working together from distance. But if you have 30 students in a class, you can have 6 groups of 5 students working on specific projects. So this is still a very engaged class. And actually, it's more interesting for them because they work in small groups. And what you can do, you can have, if you want to do synchronous, you can have meetings with the large class, but you can have group meetings. That means that you schedule, you say that for 30 minutes, I will meet with group 1. For another 30 minutes tomorrow, I will meet with group 2, etc. So it gives them an opportunity to spend quality time with you, even though it's a large group. So that's a way you can do it.
Yeah, thank you. Like I'm also trying to do that asynchronous teaching with them as well. And the only problem that I found is that because of the rapidly change in the scheme from face-to-face teaching to online learning, they become much more passive. Like kind of, because like, first of all, like they don't use to the environment, how to making a chat, how to open the mic with a big class without making echo. So that's kind of in chaotic situation right now for me, but then maybe it's going to get better.
There's one thing I talked about earlier. You can do it, you can host practice sessions, and then you can do it for the entire group, but to make sure that it works, you can have practice sessions or smaller groups, and group of 6 or 7, so that gives you an opportunity to monitor, to make sure that everybody, they know where to find, where to submit their assignment, how to participate in group chat, etc. So it's more individualized, and it will make it more interesting for the students. And online, if you do asynchronous, you can still do creative things. Instead of asking students to produce an email to introduce themselves, everybody know how to do, like how to video record themselves. You can ask everybody to shoot like a 2 or 3 minutes or 1 minute video to answer specific questions. You see what I'm saying? So it makes it more interactive.
Yeah, I agree. But then, it might be a situation in Thailand right now because like rapidly kind of semi-lockdown in Bangkok, and most of students, not most, like half of my class, they didn't have proper access to internet or computer as well. Like they share computer within the house, and some of their family members need to use for work. That's why they have like very limited time to use for download video or do anything on the PC, and that's still in the problem that I need to try to find a way to resolve.
Then what you can, another thing that you can do, so because of that, I think I am here I used to be president of an organization, and I had members in Malaysia, in South Africa, in other countries. But there is, if they have access to telephone, for example, you can have teleconference with your students, which means that you know, if you email me, I can send you the link. I don't know if, I'm sure it's available in Thailand because it's available in Malaysia, where you can have a free 1-800 number. In your case, maybe a different number in Thailand. You give a code to the students. If they don't have access to the computer, they will be able to talk to you. You won't be able to see them. And also there are other things that you can do. I know that everybody in Thailand, they have line. So if they cannot use their computer, you can have live chat. You can create a group line with, you know, students in your class, or you can create a private Facebook account. That, you know, there are other things that you can do using the device that they have. Actually, that reminds me, we are in a very chaotic situation with a virus. In health, in public health, there is something called e-health, where in many developing countries, people don't have electricity, but they have telephone. So that's how they reach out to them, getting information, etc. So creativity is key for you to navigate. Because it's like, it is what it is. If somebody is in a lockdown, they don't have computer, it's gonna be challenging. But if they have access to their cell phone, use it to the advantage. You're welcome. Any other questions?
มีอาจารย์ท่านไหนมีคำถามอีกไหมคะ
Hi.
Hello.
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 Hi. Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. My question is, actually, I have a student more than 100. Yes.
Okay.
And,
yes.
And another thing is, I have two questions. Another question is, usually we have like a examination, midterm examination, and final examination. My class is like a theory. Is not like a student is more than 100.
Yeah.
So how about the assessment method that we can use to assess the student online?
Yes. In large class, US, there are some classes that are taught in an auditorium with 300, 400, 500 students. And usually what happens is, it is still interactive. We use something called clickers. Clickers is a strategy that is used to have interaction in large classes. But you can do that online also using poll, for example. There is a program called Everywhere Poll, where if you want to have some interaction, I think it's free with Google Chrome. If you have a Google account, you have Google Chrome, you can download it in Google Chrome, and you can use Everywhere Poll to have interactions with group class. Because what happens is that it's kind of an instant poll. You ask, people are participating in the poll, the percentage will be showing up. You don't have to do any computation or anything. There is a program called Kahoot, where you can have another form of interactions where you will not have to do anything, because the computation will be done automatically. It's you may not be familiar with it again, but that's something you can learn pretty quickly. And so for assessment, I think it is the same thing. If you have large class, don't do. It's very difficult to have assessment with open-ended questions. but you can use, there are some programs that are free, for example, to do surveys for assessment, like SurveyMonkeys, for example. I know it's free for a certain number of questions, but there are other applications that I know that are free. You can have a free account as well. So to do like a pre-assessment, an assessment of the syllabus, and you will be able to see the frequencies automatically from the application. So these are some ways where you can, it's not time consuming. The students participate. You don't put too many questions. You may have 5 questions or 10 questions, and then we see the percentage about how many people understand, the due dates for the assignments. How many people understand how to participate in a group chat, for example, or it's, I'm just giving you random questions, but there are ways you can still do assessments even in large class and create interactions, and even your test. If you are going to use like tests as exam, you can do it in some learning management system. In Blackboard, I know you can do it. The computation will be automatic, and then you can transport that to your gradebook without any problem. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you. Because actually, we used to use the LEB2 system in our university, but the problem is the delay of the internet, the Wi-Fi of the students, so they cannot finish like in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Some cannot finish in 10 minutes, something like that, because of the problem of the Wi-Fi. So maybe we can find out another's like Google's.
Yeah. If you use everywhere poll, once you create the poll, as long as you send the code number to the students can open the poll in their computer, and then all they have to click, there is a statement to say, do you agree with this and that? There is, maybe the option can be yes or no. They just have to click, and then they submit, and all the result will appear automatically in your computer. Every poll allows you to do that. They can use their phone. They don't necessarily have to use their computer to do that.
Okay.
But it's a matter of, the only thing, that's why I was talking about earlier in the beginning. It is to familiarize yourself with some of these applications. I know, and I know that if you haven't used it before, it will take you to try to either get support from technology, etc., get somebody, spend some time trying to figure it out, etc. Or in our case, when we are teaching large classrooms, we have TA, teaching assistant. That means that we give like lectures, like very traditional lectures, and then we break down the students in groups. So the TAs work with them on answer their question, etc., in groups of 10 or 12, something like that. You may not be able to, I don't know what your system is. For example, me in Blackboard, I have teaching assistants. I don't need, even online, I can assign them, you work with this group of students, you work with this group of students, and without any problem. That's a way to compensate for large classroom. That may not exist, be available for you, but there are other ways you can be creative if you use your other apps.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.